special edition of What's Up Watchtower. As you can see, we have the phenomenal Susan Gaskin with us. Where is she? Live and in person. We finally made this happen.
Thumbs up. Never know.
So yes, it's exciting times. We just saw that there was a 2017 annual meeting of Jehovah's Witnesses. So there's lots to talk about in regards to that and the changes that have been made. And some catching up to do because Susan hasn't done a video in a while and we haven't done a video in a while. So this is a good time for all of us to give an update. So how have you been?
Good. Yeah, we all happen to be in the same city at the same time.
Yeah.
So it seemed like the right thing to do.
Yeah.
No, I've been doing okay, taking a break. I have a lot of people telling me, a lot of JWs telling me I should take a break. So I took their advice. And I took a break. And I'm back.
Yeah.
We got things to say, right?
We're like a bad
Always.
penny. You can't get rid of us. They might think that we stopped, but we're still here and we're still keeping track of what's going on. And, it's very interesting that Mike, especially, you can tell them, his favorite congregation in Apopka, Florida, that he listens to all of your meetings. So you're really doing a good job there.
Yeah, I do appreciate that at least one congregation is making a concerted effort to have all of the video for all the meetings uploaded. So that's good. It's at least one.
He listens to all of them.
Yeah.
And the thing that you find the most interesting is not necessarily what's in the publications.
Right. The reason I'm actually watching the meetings is because I love to hear the comments from the people attending the Kingdom Hall. So especially the digging for spiritual gems and the comments at the Watchtower study. I mean, it's just very enlightening as to the mindset of the active current Jehovah's Witness. And it's actually kind of sad that you can hear in their comments that they're, I don't know what I'm saying, I have to edit it out. It's just like it's
like keeping your finger on the pulse of what the average Jehovah's Witnesses is actually thinking, despite what the propaganda machine of JW.org spews out into the internet.
Mm-hmm.
It's very enlightening to actually hear the comments that are off the actual literature, that diverge away from what the literature is telling you as what the answer is. Because as we know, like they tell you that your answer should be directly from the magazine, but if you hear comments from people that are, just their own thinking, it's very enlightening to know what the average Jehovah's Witness is thinking about. So, anyways, just want to let you know, Apopka, thanks. We're going to talk about a few of the things that came out at the 2017 annual meeting. And I guess start with the most interesting thing, I think, is that, well, there's two very interesting things, but the first one is that they are moving towards only having 3 issues a year of the Watchtower and 3 issues a year of the Awake.
Well, they said they only have 6 now? What does that mean? Like, so every 2 months one comes out? They said they're going from 6 to 2, to 3.
Correct. But
I didn't know
remember
that.
when I was a kid, there was a new magazine every week.
Mm-hmm.
There was the Watchtower came out on the 1st and the 15th, and the Awake was on the 8th and the 22nd of every single month. So when I hear somebody like Tony Morris at this special assembly day, or what is it called again?
The
annual meeting, when he says, "We know that you brothers and sisters have way too much information to look at. We know that you haven't been able to keep up. with the whole 6 magazines a year or 12 magazines a year. I'm like, man, we had 52. We had 52. Every member of our household had their own subscription to the Watchtower and Awake magazines, as was encouraged by the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society in the 80s.
Because Jehovah's table of spiritual food was bountiful. We were well fed.
So all I have to say is, if he feels sorry for them and knows that they're having trouble reading 12 magazines a year plus the stuff that's on the internet, man, what about us? We were the most bombarded generation.
We had
snow this
history.
high that we had to plow through to get to school. But we had, plus they've got less meetings, from what I understand, right?
Yeah.
And then they take away a midweek meeting.
Yeah.
They've combined the
They've
book
combined
study
the book
or
study and the
Bible
ministry school now, and so it's...
Watchtower study is only 30 minutes long.
Yep.
Not an hour like it used to be.
They have it good, and these are the last days.
Yeah, these are last days. You would think that if we are so close to the end, that you would be even more bombarded with spiritual food to keep you on track. But instead, they're going to less. Now, what I really think that what they're, because they said after 2 years, they're going to re-examine whether they will keep doing the 6 magazines a year, or whether they will simply reprint the ones, because they're going to cover just one topic per magazine.
Yeah. I'd love to see it. That must be very thin now, too.
Well, the goal,
Yeah.
from what Anthony Morris said, from what I gathered, is that the goal would be in 2 years, like Robin just said, to reevaluate. He goes, but we may have enough topics covered in those 2 years, which is really only 12 magazines. In 2 years, 12 magazines, that we should cover every topic enough with those 2 years worth of things that we would just reprint them and keep them going. And my initial thought was this: okay, it's a magazine but only on one topic, so it's a brochure, right? This is what the Jehovah's Witness brochures were. So now you go from having 52 magazines a year.
48. It's okay. 4 months.
Yeah, whatever.
40.
Whatever.
These are the things I cut out.
So you go from that to really 6 to 12 brochures. No more one of them will be called Watchtower, but it isn't the Watchtower. Not what we've always known, not the magazine we've always known with all the different sections in it and everything. So basically you're going from magazines to 6 brochures. It's very bizarre, and if the Jehovah's Witnesses who are actually attending the meetings and hearing this at the convention, and it doesn't make you think twice. I mean, I heard the gasps in the audience when he announced it. Oh yeah, there was like
exciting news, isn't it? That's how they described it.
He said, I know, it's exciting.
He said-
And they're probably really horrified, like, oh, what's happening? We're losing our beloved Watchtower.
The gasps that I heard were not gasps of excitement. They were gasps of shock and disbelief. And he tried to frame it because there was enough of a reaction in the audience that he had to comment on it. He couldn't let it go. There was enough gasping and stuff, and he goes, oh, I'm excited too, you know? But that wasn't what happened.
Yeah.
It was really interesting. I mean, people were shocked, I think.
And
Yeah,
Go
I was
ahead.
just going to say that we could put the letter that came out about all these changes up for you to see. And it's just interesting how they word it. They go, in order to put more emphasis on starting Bible studies and to reduce the amount of material that our brothers must read. Why? I don't get that. I don't understand that. The governing body recently made a number of exciting decisions. And this was one of them. And I don't understand what's exciting about it. If I was still a witness, I would be very disappointed. I'd be gasping. Because we all got excited when there were new books and new light coming out. Remember at the conventions how excited we'd be? We'd see the brothers, rolling out the dollies with boxes of
during the
books.
last song, you see all the books coming out. You're like,
It was
oh.
exciting. I couldn't wait to get my hands on it.
Yeah.
And so how is this exciting? I don't know. But they're spinning it that way because that's what they want. It's what they have to do because money is clearly a problem.
Yeah. I mean, the annual meeting is basically an annual sales meeting, but this was a total propaganda meeting of trying to spin things to make things look better than they are, because we called it out, and we'll get to the next exciting news is that they're doing away with the yearbook. And we had said in our video back when the yearbook had come out last year about that these results are dire, and that if the governing body isn't worried, that they really should be. Because we had done the calculation in the United States, they gained less than 3,000 publishers in 2016. And according to the number of hours that were reported for the United States, it took 92,895 hours to gain one publisher in the United States.
And just for simplification, that's more than 10 years.
More than 10 years.
Of straight, that's not 10 years 9 to 5. That's 10 straight years.
24/7 of hours. So they're saying that they're going to continue to provide the information that was in the yearbook on jw.org. But do you read what it says about, because you had pointed out that about the yearbook. What did it say?
Well, it's just saying from that letter that you'll see up, that we'll post for you. Encouraging reports about the activity of Jehovah's Witnesses in other lands are now provided regularly by means of JW Broadcasting and JW.org. Therefore, the yearbook will no longer be published. When the Worldwide Field Service Report for the 2017 service year becomes available, this information will be published in the About Us section of JW.org.
Okay,
So they really aren't highlighting it at all.
yeah.
You're gonna have
with
to go
good
find
reason,
it.
with good reason, because they used to be so thrilled with countries like Mexico and Italy and Japan that were having these massive number increases in the 1980s and 90s. But these people are waking up too. They're waking up to the reality that, you know, all across Europe, Canada, all are down, Australia. The U.S. is up a tiny, tiny bit, but this is their heartland, right? This is where they were founded. This is where, if you remember, according to what Rutherford taught, that all the people like King David and Moses and all the faithful men of old were all going to be resurrected, and for some reason they were all going to go to San Diego.
It's
to a
nice there.
house that Rutherford had, a mansion. All these people, all these old men are all going to go to a house in San Diego.
Yeah, and if you guys aren't familiar with that, if you haven't heard of it, it's called Beth Sarim. So you can Google that and look it up. It's very interesting tale.
Yeah, but I was just thinking about how the governing body makes changes, and I think that what they're doing is especially with the printing of the magazines, that they're making these changes slowly because they want to phase out the magazines altogether. I think what they're doing is distancing themselves from the name Watchtower, is what I think they're doing, because their focus is jw.org. But Watchtower has received so much criticism, that whole name, that corporation, that I think they're trying to establish a new, identity.
Rebranding.
Yeah,
Yes.
rebranding themselves. Yeah.
But it would be really almost impossible to get out from underneath the Watchtower moniker. It really would, because that's been their identifying mark for, the last 100 years, the magazines.
Yeah.
You know,
But they're
that's
copying the Mormons, don't you find? The Mormons did that too. They're like a few years behind the Mormons. Because the Mormons tried to rebrand themselves as the LDS. Okay?
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
the JW, Jehovah's Witnesses, and the Watchtower, they want to be JW.org, like Kentucky Fried Chicken and KFC. Because fried is not good. Watchtower is bad. So they want to rebrand themselves as something else.
That's very interesting, because with all the attention with lawsuits and stuff in the last 5 years, the name Watchtower has really taken a hit. So yeah, that makes perfect sense that they would want to distance themselves from that, but we see it changing.
Right, and printing is very expensive, and they've obviously come on some hard times because, and this wasn't a part of the annual meeting, but we might as well mention it now, that we were going to talk about, is that they're asking publishers in the United States to contribute $14, I guess it's annually, per publisher, for the worldwide emergency fund.
What might those
Essentially.
emergencies be?
Yeah, what might might those emergencies be? Because reading this letter, which we'll also put up, what does it say here? Unexpected events. And that's in quotes. They put unexpected events. What do you think those unexpected events might be?
I don't know, the Jose Lopez case that's going on in San Diego again, when we go back to San Diego. A lot of things seem to happen there. But there's so many cases that are coming to light.
Right.
Every day there's more. And I know of another huge one that's happening right now. Well, there's a in Canada right now they've got what do they call those lawsuits?
Class action. That's just what I was going to
Yeah. There's a class action lawsuit in Canada that has been happening. $66 million that they're suing them. But of course, with punitive damages, that could be 5 times that amount.
Yeah.
Who knows what this? When the jury gets to hear how horrible this organization has been to children and how they've just brushed it all under the rug and allowed these pedophiles to continue because they didn't have that second witness, to condemn them. They didn't go to the police. You're going to sully Jehovah's name. So nothing came to light of it, and this guy just continued. These pedophiles continued molesting more and more children. That when the juries hear about this, they're not happy, right? They're willing to make a $66 million lawsuit. 500 million. Who knows? Right?
Especially when they know that the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society is the largest real estate dealing group in the world. They have property all over. They're multi-billionaires. The organization is a multi-billion-dollar organization from sale and ownership of properties all over the world. Yeah, once they see the truth about what's happening, they're going to feel no pity to make them pay.
Right.
No pity.
And I just saw yesterday, actually. I forgot to tell you because we weren't talking about this, but it's in the works to try to get a class action suit in the U.S. too. You can imagine how much that would be worth.
Oh.
Yeah.
In Canada, we're just we're like 1/10 of the population of the United States. Well, imagine times that now by 10, at least.
Wow. Yeah, I've seen other people talk about that's something that's pretty much in the works here in the United States. So
exciting times.
Exciting times! It truly is. It is the end times.
It's justice. It's justice. I mean, people who are watching this who are Jehovah's Witnesses might think, "Oh, we're just being horrible people, and we're kicking the slave." It's not like that at all. It's that this is what I call justice. You can't just wait. To me, the idea that let's just wait on Jehovah and let's allow these pedophiles to continue hurting people. Well, I guess I'd ask you, if you knew that there was a roaring lion walking around your neighborhood, and you just said, "Oh, leave it for Jehovah," and then a bunch of children get killed as a result of it, you would be blood guilty. I'm sorry, but to say that you're blood guilty because you didn't give someone a watchtower, but you allowed a roaring lion or a pedophile to go and molest dozens of children, and you knew about it, and you did nothing but wait on Jehovah. I'm sorry, but this is called justice, what's happening now. They are getting, their full due. It's all coming back to them.
Yeah,
So I'm not going to cry one tear.
Yeah, and they always hold themselves as morally superior to everybody else. We were just talking about this on the ride here, that it was an article out of Australia about a man sentenced to 27 years in prison who had held all these women hostage, and he's a Jehovah's Witness, and they said he's a practicing Jehovah's Witness, and he held these women hostage, kidnapped them, beat them, raped them, all these terrible things. And I said, why is it, and the Jehovah's Witnesses, well, I always point that out, they always will mention if they're a Jehovah's Witness. Well, first of all, it's a fringe religion, a cult, and people know this, and that's why, if they were Mormon or if they were Scientology, it would have been named too, because, and especially Jehovah's Witnesses who go out preaching and always point out in their literature that they are morally clean, that they keep themselves, to Jehovah's highest standards. That's why they're always pointed out if they're a Jehovah's Witness, because of their arrogance.
But do you know that there was somebody, it happened a couple years ago now, but somebody was going through a drive-through and somehow somebody's wallet got into the car, the wrong car, and the person returned it. And they made a big deal, we're Jehovah's Witnesses, we returned it. They make a big point of saying that and I remember thinking, well, that's just the normal thing to do, isn't it? Like, if this happened to me, okay, I'm not a Jehovah's Witness anymore, but if this happened to any of us, it's the right thing to do. And believe me, worldly people do this all the time.
Yep.
And they don't toot their horn and say, "Hey, I'm a Mormon," Well, actually, they do. That's the thing. I guess that's the thing. But Jehovah's
I'm a Christian.
They don't like it when it's negative. They only like it when it's positive. They love being told that, oh, you're the cleanest people, and you're the most honest people, and if the world was more like you, then we wouldn't have any problems, and all this kind of stuff. But when something bad happens, you must not say a word. Why did you bring up that word Jehovah's Witnesses? Why did you? You're sullying Jehovah's name.
That's so funny that you mentioned that, because we were just talking about something like that recently as well, about how
well, when people, I know it's we got up early and drove here, and then we had a nice lunch, and now we just want to take a nap. But what we were talking about is someone like my aunt, who's never been one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and is just a kind, loving, giving, honest person. And she doesn't do it because she wants to bring a good name to Jehovah. She doesn't do it because not doing it would mean that she might be destroyed at Armageddon. She just does it because she's a good person. And it's like Jehovah's Witnesses, they always say that they're law-abiding, good people, clean, moral, whatever.
And they are, for the most part.
Okay, yeah, but they're doing it because of a future reward, and because they feel like they are required to do that. So what is a good person? A person who does it because that's just their nature and because that's the right thing to do? Or someone who does it for fear of retribution from God? Or being kicked out of the congregation? Or being shunned?
Exactly. I find it funny too, because sometimes people will say, like they say, I told them I was a witness and that's why I did this, and the person was shocked. I think the person is shocked because they're thinking, well, anybody would do that, right? Like because I'm just trying to picture it now that I'm no longer a witness, and I can't imagine if someone came up to me and said, well, I did that because I'm a witness. If someone did something nice for me and said, well, it's because I'm a witness, I'd be like, but you should have always been doing this, right? Everybody does nice things for me because I have obvious problems when I walk, and I always every day have someone holding a door for me or helping me. Can I help you? Can I do this for you? And they don't ever say, oh, it's because I'm a Catholic or because I'm anything. It's because I'm a human being. And I think people are shocked. It's not because they go, oh, you're a witness, can I have a Watchtower, please? They're shocked because, well, why would you even say that?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
So we were doing Susan did the calculation that the $14 per publisher in the United States, if each publisher contributed that, it would amount to $16,772,000 and change. If that was worldwide, I don't know if they're going to do this worldwide, but it would be almost $114 million that they would get as an emergency fund.
In addition to all the other donations, this is a separate fund. Yeah. When you do the math, it's insane. It's 1/8 of $1 billion if you start, looking at it. And that's just the emergency fund. That's nothing to do with all the other donations, all the mortgages, all the other money they're collecting.
Right. Well, because now they own all the Kingdom Halls, because even the Kingdom Halls, our Kingdom Hall was almost paid off. It may have been already paid off. We paid interest and everything to the society. Yeah. And so now they own all the Kingdom Halls, but they're expecting the publishers to continue to contribute whatever they were contributing before to pay. So they own the property and they're still getting the mortgage payment.
I told that to my husband. My husband never was a witness. I was explaining to him how this whole thing worked, how they used to have more, there's a mortgage and you would owe the society whatever you couldn't pay, and with interest. And let's say your mortgage was for 10 years, and so you're paying $500 a month, your congregation's paying $500 a month for 10 years, and at the end of the 10 years, you're done, right? Not anymore. Now that the society owns they forgave all these mortgages, but they expect the congregation to still pay the $500, and there's no end date. And I was thinking too that, did we mention about what's happening in Canada right now? Did you want to?
Yeah. 10 Kingdom Hall closings.
Yeah. 10 Kingdom Halls are going to be sold.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if you were, I personally know of many people who've worked, not just given to the society to build a Kingdom Hall, but who actually did the building. And, because it's always pretty much always free labor anyways. Imagine if you were a brother that contributed a lot to this to this Kingdom Hall financially, and you did, the plumbing and the drywalling and whatever to build this Kingdom Hall. The society comes along, takes it, makes you keep on giving it, as much money as they want for the next 20 years, even though you knew it was paid off 10 years ago. And then they come along and say, okay, we're going to sell it. Now you have to drive 20 miles further to go to another Kingdom Hall at a weird time, because I don't know how because apparently these 10 Kingdom Halls are going to affect 43 congregations.
That's a lot of congregations.
That's
crazy. A lot.
It is. And so where are they going to go? Like, imagine what would the Sunday meetings look like? You've got a meeting in the morning, a meeting in the, like, how many congregations are sharing this Kingdom Hall now? Because you're being shafted to another area.
Yeah.
A meeting in the morning, a meeting in the early afternoon, late afternoon, evening.
I think the most I've ever seen is four like Sunday meetings at a Kingdom Hall, but I don't even know if you could squeeze a fifth one in there.
It'd be tight. It'd be like the memorial where they're shafting you out really loud. Sister, stop talking.
Your meeting is at 7:30 a.m. You better make it there on time.
Wow.
I can't
That's
imagine, but we should put up the list. There's a list of what cities are being affected in Canada, and one of them is my old city. So I'm curious what Victoria, British Columbia.
Wow.
I'm curious as to what how that's going to affect people.
well, I mean, we've seen, pictures and videos inside congregations that are just empty.
Yeah,
That's the thing
it's crazy.
that is so noticeable to me is when you watch videos that show anyone who walks into a Kingdom Hall or whatever, that Zeb Freestone or whatever, there's video of him going into a lot of Kingdom Halls, and you could see there's nobody there.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, the Kingdom Hall was packed. Like the first Kingdom Hall that I remember regularly going to here in Florida when I was 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, we had almost 200 publishers, and the congregation split into 2 halls. And each one of those halls grew to like 120 people. I mean, it was a whole different ballgame. And now you see inside the Kingdom Hall during the meeting on a Sunday, and there's 40 people there.
Yeah.
Or
And
45
mostly empty
people.
chairs.
Yes. And mostly older ones.
Yes. And these old, so I just spoke to a Jehovah's Witness about 2 weeks ago, and she was telling me about how all these older people that I used to know. So I've been out for it's been 17 years to be exact. So picture people that were in their 60s when I knew them. Add now about 20 years to that. Now they're in their early 80s or approaching 80. They're now widows. And she was telling me that, they're now widows. Their teeth are falling out because they never looked after their teeth. They're thin as a rail because they're not eating properly, because the end didn't come. It must be so, you can see why some of them become quite bitter. She said they're not looking after themselves. Their bodies are falling apart. They're miserable. They're alone. They've got no kids. They've got nothing. Nothing, no savings, no house, even some of them.
Yeah.
It's really sad. And this is because you put your trust in men. You put all your trust in an organization that promises to give you something, and they can't deliver. I can't give you life. I can't give anyone that, and neither can they.
And they don't take care of their own people.
No.
I mean, there's no arrangement some people within the congregation, good-hearted people, might arrange for the sisters to go and clean these people or bring them food or whatever. But as far as a systemized arrangement to help those who are old, there's nothing set up for that. Like there is in other religions. Other religions actually have programs to help people out within their religion. Yeah, but no, fend for yourselves. Keep warm and well fed.
That's the other thing. Not only do I watch all the meetings, listen to all the meetings on YouTube, I listen to a lot of Christian radio, which is funny because I have no Christian beliefs, but that's the one thing I notice when I'm listening to, and it's like Moody Radio, Moody Bible Institute radios. They have programs all over the nation, But they're just in hearing commercials and listening to programs. Those Christians have a lot of programs to help people. A lot of programs. They feed the homeless. They teach people. But do actual tangible things to help people. And they talk a lot about the overseas ministries and things that they do. So it's just funny. Jehovah's Witnesses, claiming to be a Christian organization, they don't do the work of a Christian in that sense. And all of these other pagan and or satanic organizations are helping people. And they are actually doing things for people right now in the moment when it counts.
No, I just saw something, jw.org, whatever, that they are involved in the biggest humanitarian work in the world.
So they say.
Of saving lives. Yeah. Of saving lives. But Garrett Loesch, going back to the 2017 annual meeting, said that saving lives was not our primary reason for engaging in the witnessing work. We don't care about saving lives. It's
so
all
cool.
about the vindication of Jehovah's name or the sanctification of Jehovah's name. And they talked about the difference between that too, and we won't even get into that because it's a silly wordplay
It's just
argument.
so cold. We're all just manure, basically, on the face of this earth. That's basically the way they see it. And if you die, you'll be resurrected. We don't know how you'll be resurrected, if you'll even be married again, or if you're going to have electricity, or who knows, right? It's all just a massive question mark, but just get there. If you die. In fact, I'm surprised they don't want more people that they love to die and try to kill these people. It wouldn't surprise me if it got... Because if you believe that somebody who dies now...
is guaranteed a resurrection.
Whereas 1 minute after Armageddon, they're going to be killed. They're going to be resurrected, right?
Well, that is the very dark shadow side of Jehovah's Witnesses. And I was able to educate someone recently about that thought process. Someone who was raised as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, but never, got baptized and really never was interested in it, so didn't really pay attention. I told this person that, I'm just going to come out and say it. It's my cousin. I told her that when my grandparents passed away, which were her grandparents, that deep down the feeling was, well, at least now they have a chance for a resurrection.
Well, they weren't witnesses.
My grandfather was disfellowshipped, and my grandmother was never a Jehovah's Witness. So, the feeling is that even that my parents would probably rather that I died. To be honest with you, that they would rather that I were dead, because then I would have a chance of being resurrected.
Not happening, suckers.
Well, I don't know if I'll die, but I'm never going to be a Jehovah's Witness again.
If you die, you don't have a choice. Jehovah takes you.
Aww.
It is a weird way. I mean, I remember even joking about it. I didn't really think, of course, as a child, you don't think about these things, but we had, childhood crushes on Sean Cassidy or whoever, or John Travolta. That's gone a different way.
Totally different way.
But, I remember thinking, as a kid, we used to joke, oh, maybe we should, let's hope they get killed. Because then we can marry them in the new system. Of course, we didn't think it through that maybe they won't be able to marry anybody, right? They'll be eunuchs or something.
Oh, I know. My sister said that she was going to wait by Elvis's grave in the new system. She's probably still thinking that.
Still waiting.
Even though she's married. Forget him. I'm getting Elvis in the new system. But,
It's a weird way of thinking.
It's very strange.
The whole culture of Jehovah's Witnesses causes you to think in weird ways. It just does, because if you really sit down and logically or reasonably start dissecting these beliefs, they're all crazy. They're really crazy.
Yeah. But you don't think about it. That's why they don't want you to think about it.
Yeah.
No, they don't, and they don't want other people knowing these sides of how they really believe. But we were all raised, the three of us were raised from the time we were born, birth on, and we know what Jehovah's Witnesses believe. Deep down, what's published and what the culture of Jehovah's Witnesses is. We know it. And they may be trying to rebrand themselves and shift the culture to look different, and it does look like a different religion.
Oh, yeah.
But they still have a huge shadow side that is very dangerous, and we know that it's a dangerous religion.
The crazy part of that is, well, since they have removed a lot of their older literature, and on the CD-ROMs and on the JW library and stuff, it only goes back to 2000. So really, anyone, I guess what I'm trying to say is, it's changed so much that it really is a different religion than when we were in.
Yeah.
And for the people who have come in the last, let's say, 20 years, which is probably a handful of people, you know.
2 people.
Yeah, 1, 2. They don't have access to know about the history of the religion. The Proclaimer's book is gone. It's been replaced with something else. You know, a lot of the books that were available when we were younger are completely out of print. It's old light, it's not valid, and they say things that the Jehovah's Witnesses just don't believe today. So it's really weird. It's like it's a new religion because they don't teach what they taught when we were growing up. The beliefs are not the same, even though they would tell you that it's been consistent. It's not the same. Even things like blood transfusions and things have changed since we've been gone.
The generation.
The generation teaching.
It's insane.
That
overlapping.
That's.
I mean,
bonkers.
people ask me, "Are you coming back?" What am I coming back to? Everything I believed in has changed.
Yeah.
The 1914 generation was not supposed to die.
Right.
Well, they died, and now they overlap. And it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So you're supposed to accept something that does not make sense, that I would have been disfellowshipped for had I proposed this when I was in.
Right.
Exactly.
But that's the advantage, again, of not printing. We talked about why they're not printing literature. That's a huge advantage. Not just is it a cost savings.
It's a record.
You have to actually print out what they say so that you can say, see, they said this 5 years ago. Because now you're not going to have the books or the magazines to show people how crazy it all is and how much it has changed. Now they can just make their little changes online and nobody will be the wiser. And they're not the wiser because they're not thinking. They'll go, oh, if I point things out to people who are still witnesses and say, you know, it used to say this, they'll actually say, no, it didn't.
Right.
Until I show them, well, yes, it did.
Well, even now,
Yeah.
like the aid book, the big blue book that was from '68, I think it was, the aid book,
That
the
is-
truth book, the live forever book.
Those are apostate.
People, I have heard that the Jehovah's, and I've heard this through comments and stuff on forums and things. I haven't actually met someone who said this in person yet, but they denied that the witnesses printed those books. That those were apostate books.
What?
They weren't made by the Jehovah's Witnesses.
You know why? All those books you just mentioned, the aid book, the truth book, I don't know.
The Live Forever in Paradise book. They all teach about the end of the system coming for the generation of
Do
1914.
you know who wrote them? I don't know.
Franz.
Franz, and he did become. Well, he left, but he didn't become an apostate. He ate. I reread that again in John Cedars' book about what really happened. And I'd forgotten when I read the Ray Franz books about. It's insane to think that you're eating a meal with somebody who just came out and said, I don't want to be a witness anymore, when the rules were that if you did that, nothing would have happened to you. You could leave. Then they changed the rules to say that if you do that, you disassociate yourself, it's the same as being disfellowshipped and you must be shunned. And that's how they got him. It's just insane.
Speaking about eating and about the old days, we got to talk about the memorial numbers. But since the yearbook is going to be gone, and it's just something I didn't want to forget to mention when we're talking, because you're no longer going to have access to see what the number of partakers at the memorial is since the yearbook's going to be gone.
Are they going to print those numbers on their website?
Well,
Are they going to publish
They
them?
used to have it in the January 1st Watchtower, right? They have all
Right.
the stats. I don't know what they're going to do.
Well, then they put them in the yearbook, and then because that's where we got them from last year. But are they going to continue to publish that number, or are they going to say that's irrelevant because each person's relationship with Jehovah is their
Well,
own?
it should be.
But that's-
It should be, right? They shouldn't be publishing that. Because you can't prove that you're of the anointed.
Correct, but as you know, when we were growing up, we were told specifically that number would be getting lower and lower
And it was
lower.
a sign that we're close to the end. It actually
Yes.
said that. Because I put that in one of my videos before. It was one of
Yes.
their links to what they said. It's proof.
And that was, when I was a kid, you know, I've been in a couple of Kingdom Halls where we had like one member of the Anointed in the whole hall. So like, you know, it was like a gasp when they partook of the cracker and the wine or whatever. And it's like, oh, I just heard a crunch. Somebody ate it. Somebody ate one. Oh my God, who did? And it was really rare to know someone who proclaimed to be of the Anointed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've known a couple, 2-3 people in my whole life that are like older. But to have that going, that clock ticking backwards now, like now more and more people are claiming to be of the Anointed, to where it was, I guess at the lowest point, it was around 8,000 were claiming to be of the Anointed, and now, what did you say?
It was over 18,000.
Over 18,000. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't remember the number being 18,000 when I was born.
Yeah,
I don't ever remember it being that high of a number ever in my life. So it's just really bizarre to me that the way the teachings have shifted allow people to feel the freedom that, you know, maybe I do feel like I have a heavenly calling or whatever. It's people branching out away from what they're taught. Mm-hmm. Basically, it's like, you know, to feel like you have a heavenly calling, you know, maybe you should. I mean, I don't care either way. But it's people are feeling more freedoms to do what they think they need to do. And so you're seeing kind of a little chaos inside the organization, I feel like. You've got people, a lot more people claiming to be of the Anointed, and other people who are obviously seeing all of these signs and not knowing what to make of what's happening in the organization, all the rules back and forth. It's just bizarre. And
because it goes against everything we were taught. We were taught that it closed in 1935. It had closed. Anybody who claimed to be of the Anointed were ones that were kicked out before. Remember that somehow that number was sealed in 1935, and anybody claiming after that is filling in for someone who fell away.
Right.
That's what I was taught.
Right.
I remember that
Exactly.
And so there weren't many of them. And I remember people would go, oh, it was always some little old lady, right, a little old sister, and she'd give a comment and people would be, oh, that was profound. You know? And it wasn't. I remember thinking, what?
Yes.
You read it out of this paragraph. Like, that was not profound. But then, the only, okay, so as you said, I knew a few people. Well, the only 2 people I can think of that I knew of who claimed to be of the Anointed were crazy. One was a sister who, I actually liked her very much, but she was the wife of an elder, my book study conductor at the time, and she took off with the courier. There was a courier guy that worked for them. They went off together, and the only thing, okay, I guess maybe you might want to cut this out, I don't know, but the only other thing I remember about her, I just have vague memories, was I was cleaning a urinal at the back. And I guess there's something in the urinal to make it smell better or something.
Yeah, urinal cake.
She picked it out to smell it. And she goes, oh, let me just see if it needs to be changed. And I thought, oh, what? Why would you do
Why?
that? That's the only memory I have of her. She took off someone. And she put the thing to her nose. Anyway, that's crazy.
She was a pea smeller. Let's just call it like it is. She's a pea smeller.
Oh, man.
And the only other person I know who claimed to be the Anointed had been divorced three or maybe 4 times. And everybody thought she was crazy. So it's really nobody's business. That's the way I look at it. If you claim to be the Anointed, why do they even put that statistic in there? And now they really shouldn't. Now
I think they're going to probably stop.
Yeah, I don't think they can now anymore. But before, it was like supposed to be, I guess, encouraging for us to see that we were getting closer to the end. But when the number starts going the opposite direction, what does that do to all the people that grew up in the truth in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Very interesting. Well, something else that Tony Morris continued to say in his talk was that Jehovah was drawing only those that were rightly disposed to everlasting life, and that basically anybody that we didn't need to worry about our effectiveness in the ministry, essentially, because Jehovah was drawing them. So you're off the hook. You know, if you go to their door with absolutely nothing to share with them, that's okay.
An old Watchtower, because there's only 1 a year now. 3 a year.
How are we going to get our time in? We used to go and do early morning witnessing and get rid of those old suckers. They don't even have them anymore.
It's true.
How are they going to get their time in? Well, are they going to start de-emphasizing, like, the preaching work? Like that, the importance of it?
Well, they don't do much of a preaching work now, from what I see. They just have their carts, and they just point to things on their website. And they'll play a video. It's kind of like the way they did it in the sound cars way back when with Rutherford. They play a talk. They don't want you to learn. They really are going backwards, because when I'm reading that John Cedars book, and he's going through the history of the organization, with Rutherford, he didn't want you to know much. He wanted you to just play his talk. So you'd ring the doorbell, somebody would answer, and you'd say, listen to this talk, and you'd have Rutherford yakking on about something, and that would be your sermon. And then Knorr thought it was a good idea to have people really actually know what they're doing, so he brought out the Theocratic Ministry School and got people, the witnesses, to actually know what they're talking about and learn everything. And now they're going back to not knowing anything, because I think people have too much social media access, and they have the availability of all these things that discount the organization. Just type in Jehovah's Witnesses, and you're going to get up not just JW org, you're going to get a host of great, exciting things. That's a private joke.
It's an inside joke, yeah. Someone was hating on us on our What's Up Watchtower Facebook page, and he said, enjoy your man-made world, and I said, enjoy your man-made religion, and he put a thumbs up.
He couldn't come up with anything else.
Yeah.
So he just did the honorable thing.
Yeah.
And then backed away.
I concede. You have won the match.
Did we want to mention the Damon Wayans?
We can do that. That's just kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
There's a picture, a selfie being taken with what is his name?
David Wayans.
Well, who's the governing body member? Mark Sanderson.
Was it a governing body?
No, it wasn't a governing body. It's
Oh,
just
was
a regular
it?
Joe. Just a
Oh, it
regular
looked
guy.
kind of like him.
It's just
Not at
a
all.
man.
It's a man taking a selfie with Damon
A brother,
Wayans.
a witness though, a JW.
Yes. Well, we can't assume that, because Damon Wayans is not a baptized witness.
That's true.
And what was Damon Wayans doing at the annual
I used to
meeting?
like him.
He is way too cool to be doing that.
I know.
He is
Yeah.
way too cool to be doing that. Oh, I thought he was way too cool to be doing that.
I know. But the irony is that, so it wasn't me who came up with this idea, but we'll put it up on the screen for you to see. There is a Watchtower that has a picture of the Absalom. What do they call the modern day Absaloms? That's the caption. And they show a boy playing a video game, and they show a girl and a young couple, teenagers, taking selfies, and they're painting it as wrong. And then they've got two witnesses, and the guy is holding it up, and the one brother's like, no, I can't do that. And I just find it funny. So when you put that picture beside the Damon Wayans one, it just looks so funny, because he almost looks a bit like the guy. But he's all for the selfie. So, and not that I have a problem with selfies, but the organization clearly had a problem with it. They called them the modern day Absalom class. So, why that's a problem? Why that's worldly? I don't see. But anyways, it just shows that the organization continues to change.
And they seem to nitpick on things that seem so insignificant too, which is it's weird. It's just I don't understand.
A selfie.
Yeah.
Right. Whenever they show anything that's quote unquote worldly, they'll show people having a good time, having a drink in their hand.
Headbands on.
Oh yeah, always headbands, right?
And a stick.
But they always have like a beer in their hand or something, and they're
And there's a beer.
and they've got like a maniacal laugh on their face or something. I'm like, how many Jehovah's Witness gatherings, get-togethers have you gone to where alcohol was not involved in any single way? Like, yes, people drink.
Yeah.
People, why does that make people horrible, satanic people? So, anyways, that's just a side thought, but you notice that in their literature and all their,
they're
pictures.
trying to paint a picture. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So what else? What else is there to say about this annual propaganda meeting?
I don't know. I just think that they're trying to spin what's happening to them in a positive way, and I guess that's all they can do, really. Mm-hmm. But I find it's sad for them, but for me, I just find it. I can't help being happy. I'm sorry, I can't help being happy, because I think this is an organization that has done so many bad things, and all I can say is they've had a good run. Right? They've had a good run. They duped all of us, right? And we are extremely intelligent people. They duped us, right? For 30 plus years, we were all suckered into this, defending them at every opportunity and preaching their message and carting their literature around like pack mules and everything we were told to do, right? We were honest with our time. Mike and I were talking about how honest we were. About you. Were you honest with your time?
Yes.
Okay, Robin too.
I didn't count the time I was putting on my pantyhose.
I mean, we were honest with our time, and we were just saying that, isn't it funny, the honest people we did our best, right? I gave everything to the organization. We did everything we could, and we managed to find our way out, and now we look back and we see the people that are condemning us the most are the people that they're half-assed. Is that what I'm going to say? Am I going to be censored? Half-assed about their approach. They don't do the service time. They scam. Their lives are phonies, and they're not doing what we did,
living double lives.
Exactly. And yet they have the gall to condemn us. And that's the part where I get, happy to be away from all that. I don't need phoniness. I was genuine when I was in it, and I'm genuine that I'm out.
Huge hypocrisy of people who don't even spend the time, have never spent the time preaching and bringing anybody in, but yet can think that I'm a bad person. Go ahead. Is that what you're going to say?
I don't remember. There's something on Susan said. I don't remember.
Sorry.
I don't know what I said. It's like one of those dolls, you pull it out.
So one thing that we just wanted to kind of talk about before we wrap this video up is to go back to the $14 per publisher. You just made a comment about that, and I'd like you to. About what Russell said.
Oh yeah. Well, it's when you actually look at the letter. So they read about half of the letter. It's a 2-page letter that went out to all congregations in the United States. I don't know if it went to Canada or other countries. I'm assuming it probably will, or some form of it will. But when they actually, on the second page, they don't want that part read out to the congregation, and it's where they actually sit down and try and do the math. And they're showing, and again, we'll put this up on the screen, you can see that they're doing the calculation of how many publishers times 14, this is what the congregation should be giving. Because they recognize that there are some poor people there, and there are some people who simply cannot afford to give this amount in addition to what they're giving. But it's sad to see them doing this, because it reminds me of what we've seen before from Russell, the first president, when he said that the day we have to start soliciting donations is the day that we know that Jehovah is not supporting this organization. Mm-hmm. And it's true. I mean, I realize that to me it just shows that they are a business like every other business. They've got to calculate their costs. They've got to figure out, how much each publisher can give, and as we showed you, how much it would amount to in just the U.S. alone if everybody gave this $14. And this is, as we said, in addition to all the other money they're getting. This is not all the money they're getting. This is just a small portion of it. Mm-hmm. But I mean, how do they justify this?
How can the average Jehovah's Witness that's been in as long as we have, that knows that quote from Russell, that was like proudly always brought up in their literature, that we do not solicit donations?
Well,
but now they do. Because they're a new organization.
Well, there's ATM machines at the assemblies. You get ATM money right out of the ATM to give to the donate at the assembly. The thing that I just can't get out of my head started in May in the JW Broadcasting, where Samuel Hurd, I think it was, basically said, we don't have enough money to continue our projects. Yeah. So some projects will get canceled, some will get postponed, and others will be rearranged so we can put the money where we need it to be. And then it just makes me think of the scripture that we've all had pounded into our heads since childbirth about it's a fool who goes to build a tower without first calculating the cost to make sure he can get the job done, right?
Yeah.
And so for the last 2 years, we haven't had to endure because we're not Jehovah's Witnesses. We voluntarily listen to what you guys have to endure, because basically for the last 2 years they've been saying we really don't have enough money. And if you follow anything in the news, you know that they just sold a ton of properties in the Dumbo, Brooklyn area in New York, which is huge huge money. They still own property there that hasn't been sold. They own property in New Jersey still. They bought stuff in Warwick and what's the other place up in upstate New York? It's just, we're not getting the truth.
No.
Is what I'm saying. So if they all of a sudden, after selling billions of dollars worth of property, don't have the money to do what they need to do, then where is the money going?
I know.
Or is it not true? So that's why when you see stories in the news about a $66 million class action lawsuit against the Jehovah's Witnesses in Canada, and you see the Stephanie Fessler lawsuit in Pennsylvania, and you see the other, they're doing the pressure cleaning.
Somebody's pressure
outside.
cleaning. I don't know if that's picking up
It's like
on
a
my
monster.
I know,
Yeah.
it's like sounds like a whirlwind out there.
So all I'm saying is, when Sam Hurd is saying we don't have money to complete the projects that we've got going on, and you hear a news story about a lawsuit against Jehovah's Witnesses, don't automatically dismiss the news story as an apostate lie. Because if you actually find out what's going on with the Jehovah's Witnesses in the news, just Google it, you'll see that they are really, really just barely treading water right now, and that's probably going to start going the opposite direction as they start losing these lawsuits and are forced to pay out.
Well, they're
Because
paying $4,000 a day.
that's a whole nother
And
thing.
that article just came out this week that they were trying to
Appeal.
that penalty against them for not producing the documents that the court had subpoenaed.
Yeah, and just as a quick overview, there was a case in California where the witnesses were told to turn over the information they have regarding a list of child sex abusers that they have kept track of. It's purported to be over 21,000 people, 22,000 people on the list. Well, they refused to give it up to the court. So they were actually had a judgment against them of $13-point-something million, appealed that, and then they were basically taken to the situation where they are now, where in order to encourage them to come forward with the documentation, they were being fined $4,000 a day. And now they're back in court trying to say that that's punitive or whatever.
And it's not fair.
Yeah.
But then the judge said, you can't have it both ways. You got what you wanted. We removed, I think it was a $26 million.
Oh, was it that much?
Yeah, and we removed that judgment, and instead $4,000 a day fine until you produce the documents that we've requested.
Right, and the goal was to get the witnesses to produce the documents, not to just charge them a lot of money. This
Right.
could have been over in one day. They wouldn't have had to pay a dime if they turned over the documents, but they will not do it.
But they're going to fight it. And what bothers me is they seem to be winning. You're withholding a list of pedophiles that the government wants. And why? Why are you holding on to this? I don't understand. See, so when we say that they protect pedophiles, this is exactly what we're talking about. Why are you hanging onto this list?
Right.
It makes no sense.
Well, they don't want people to know that it's true. As long as it remains innuendo and rumor and hearsay,
And apostate.
they have plausible deniability.
Right.
But the minute a tangible hard copy is shown,
That they've produced themselves.
that they're guilty.
But they need to own up to it and just say, you know what, we do not tolerate pedophiles. Yes, we made some mistakes, we were wrong in doing that. Just admit it. Just do like a Britney Spears. Apologize. Just stay off the radar for a while and then people forget. There's always another scandal. People don't seem to understand. Just come forward with it and get it over with.
I think that would have been true if they were able to do it in the beginning, but they've lied for so long.
And this is theocratic warfare.
I don't think any truth coming out. would
Nobody
change
has
it.
the right to know. They
Or
don't.
fake news.
Right. They don't have. They don't have the. They believe that the secular authorities do not have the right to know because they are above the law.
But when it's another church,
Yes.
like the Catholics, they laugh and they point fingers and they're very quick to condemn. But when it's them, oh, don't sully the name of Jehovah. We're not selling the name of Jehovah, we're selling the name of you.
Yeah, it's going to actually
Don't
be.
judge Jehovah into this.
It's going to be really interesting when some of these cases finally hit the news, because I have a feeling as time goes, some of these will take on a little higher and higher public profile as the cases happen. And yeah, it's going to be a really good burn on them when they get caught with their hand in the till, because they're guilty. You know,
Well,
they're
they can
guilty.
deny it to their people, just like what Thing did, Stephen Lett, when he said it was apostate-driven lies. And yet, when they've got Jeffrey Jackson on the stand, he can't deny it. He's in a court of law where he has promised to tell the truth, and he knows he's caught, right? They've got the evidence right there, so you can lie all you want. But they're going to say, oh, yeah, well, what about this? What about that? What about, And they've got him cornered there, so he had no choice but to admit it. But in front of their own people, they're still in a position where they feel they can lie and blame it all on people like us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the people are so convinced that anyone who's an apostate is a liar or is evil, or if they even speak out against Jehovah's Witnesses without even being labeled an official apostate or anything, that whatever is heard is erased. Like, whoop, I didn't just hear that. That was that was bad. I didn't hear it. I didn't. It's one of those things. It's really,
Cognitive dissonance.
it's really quite childish when you think about it, that here grown adults, when forced with an opportunity, a reasonable decision, a reasonable discussion, to look at the facts, both sides, do a little investigation, it's so childish that you've got grown adults who say, nope, not going to look at it, not eating my broccoli, not doing it, and they don't want to know. Because it would force a change at that point. You'd have to make a decision.
Because once you know, you can't unknow something. And once you know the truth about what has gone on within this organization, the lies, the cover-ups, and even, the misrepresentation of their own history. Once you know, you can't unknow. And that's why they just don't want you knowing anything.
And why we're a lost cause to them. They don't bother with us. They will never bother with us, because they know that once you know, as you said, once you know the truth about it, you can't go back. I can't pretend that anything that they say now is true.
Right.
They can't entice me now with their phony, new system, or with their whoever, the new light or anything. I know it's all a bunch of garbage. Mm-hmm. So they don't bother with people. So what they do is they slander us. They like to say bad things about people like us, so that nobody will want to talk to us. And that's fine. That's fine. It makes my life a lot simpler.
Yeah, ours too.
You need a simple life, right?
Yes, exactly. Well, I think that we've covered a lot of topics, and I guess we've been building up. We've been building up to this moment.
Just let it all out.
Yes, we explode. Anything else to add?
Probably, but I can't think right now.
All right, well, we're going to leave it there, and thanks for joining us, and thanks for Susan for agreeing.
Thanks for R&M.
Yeah, so until next time. Bye.
See you later.